So Antigravity now has 4 different products. Antigravity itself got upgraded to 2.0, but it didn't come alone. 3 brand new products launched right alongside it. So it's a whole new family of 4 now. And everyone is asking the same question: which one do I actually use and for what? So if you've got that same question, this video is going to be very helpful for you. So let me do this. I'll lay out 4 situations, real ones, the kind you actually run into. Then we will match each one to the right tool and I'll tell you why. So let's say that you have a business scenario and you're confused on which particular anti-gravity surface you should be using, right? So let's say that situation one is where you've got an idea for a new internal tool, let's say a dashboard your sales team been asking for to see all their customers in one place. Nothing exists yet. You want to go from here is what I'm picturing to a working first version very fast. Now, situation two could be that this tool is actually built, but it's rough. The logo's in the wrong corner. A button is in the wrong color. There's a typo in the header. So small but very specific fixes. You want to make them yourself and eyeball each one as it happens. Now, situation three could be a bigger job, right? Which is where you want to restructure the whole thing, rename things consistently across hundreds of files at once. And you are working from the terminal, maybe even on a machine in the cloud you are connected to remotely. You want to kick that off and then keep working while it runs. And then lastly, situation four could be zooming all the way out, right? You don't want to sit and run any of this yourself. You want the same agent wired right into your own software. So the moment a new customer signs up, it actually builds their profile automatically. No one is actually clicking anything, right? So those are the 4 situations. And then now let's try to match them up. Okay. So the first one was building from scratch. And that's where Anti-Gravity 2 really plays really well. It's the one Google says to start with. And here is why it fits. Every other coding tool puts the code in the center. 2.0 puts the agents in the center. You describe what you want and it puts a bunch of agents to work at once. And then you direct and review, right? So that's why we'll put anti-gravity 2 there. Now, situation 2 is where you want to do small and precise fixes. And that's where IDE comes in, right? It's a real code editor and you can exactly see what's happening. Now, situation 3, where you had the big job, right? That comes from the terminal and that's the CLI. It lives and breathes in your terminal. It is built for speed and it can fire off a long task as a background agent. And then the fourth one is where the agent is actually running your own software. That's the SDK or software development kit, right? Here's the difference. The other 3 are ways for a person to work with the agent. The SDK is how you put that same agent to work with no person at all. Now, all of this is running the same agent behind all, right? And what changes is which one fits the job in front of you. Easiest way to explain this is just build something. So what I'm going to do now is take these exact situations and then build one real app and put all of these 4 into context. Okay. A quick disclaimer, all opinions are my own and do not belong to my employer. With that, let's go ahead and build the app. All right. So I am on the landing page and the download page of Google Antigravity. And you can clearly see that these are the 4 different products that they have listed here, right? So the Anti-Gravity 2.0, as I was mentioning, this is their agentic platform. Then they obviously have the agentic IDE, which is the Anti-Gravity IDE, so you can download it as well. And then they have the specific download instructions based on whatever your operating system is for the CLI. And then finally for Anti-Gravity SDK as well, right? So they have all of these things available. So I would recommend that you download whatever would be the right fit based on your requirements, right? So that is obviously the first step that needs to be done. Okay, so I'm going to build one small app, a stock scout. Type in a company and then it shows a clean profile, what they do, their sector, what they're known for. And I'll use all 4 anti-gravity products to do it so that you can understand how this kind of goes, right? Quick thing upfront, like they all share the same agent. So most of these steps, any of them could actually do, right? So the point is knowing which one to reach for your use case for you based on your skills and your preference. So every time I switch, I'll tell you why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Anti-Gravity 2.0. So this is, it must be a familiar interface. And then I'm going to send this particular prompt, which is build me a stock watch list dashboard, a home web page with a grid of company cards and a detailed page for each company. So I'm going to do this. And here, just one, again, a quick point, right? Anti-gravity CLI can also do this. But here, I just want to see the agents actually working. And if my preference is to absolutely start from scratch without even going to the terminal, this is what I'm going to do, right? So here it gives me an implementation plan. It also gives a very clear architecture. And then if I like what I'm seeing, I can go ahead and say, okay, go ahead and proceed, right? So it is going to build this particular app very quickly for us. Okay. So that's what Antigravity 2.0 does. And at any point in time, you can also start a brand new conversation, right? So what you can see here, it's actually building this, but you can have a parallel conversation. And this is where you are able to spin up multiple agents building multiple different applications in parallel. And that is the beauty of Antigravity 2.0, right? So this is an agent first environment where you're really not in an IDE kind of an environment, but you're just having conversations and the agent is going ahead and building things for you, right? So you can rely on that and build your workflow around it, right? So it looks like it is almost finished because it is now asking that, hey, can I run this particular command? So it's going to show the output pretty quickly. So we'll give it a few seconds and then we can look at the dashboard and then we will go ahead and go to the next one, which is Anti-Gravity IDE. Okay, so now this is what it has built. You can see that I've got two companies, which one is Apple and then the other one is Microsoft. And then I can obviously add the ticker. So this is basically what I'd asked it to build, right? So I go back to this and then I can click on Open IDE, and now it will bring up the Anti-Gravity IDE product. So this, you guys are familiar with this, right? So this is something which used to be together earlier, but now they've kept it separately. So I basically asked this question, where can I see the local files before opening the IDE? So it actually gave me the location, which is here. So what I'm going to do is when I open the IDE through this, I'm just going to ask it to connect to that particular folder, right? Okay, so I've got this particular folder and I'm going in. And then now what I can do is I can actually go ahead and look at all the code. This is the app.js code. And if I want to make further changes, I'll be able to do that over here, right? Now, of course, you can see that there is an agent over here as well. So what I will do here is give it a specific prompt again. So connect more prices. So now I've asked it to make some changes, but then even if I had some requirements here, I'm able to see all of those things which are over here, right? So that's the beauty of IDE. And you can already see the difference between this and this, right? This is where the IDE is also agentic in nature, but you're able to absolutely see the files and all of those things in parallel. I generally prefer the IDE over the complete 2.0 agentic version, but you're welcome to use any one of these as well, right? So we'll give it a few seconds and then we will come back and show you the next step. So here, like I've asked it to connect to an actual stock ticket. So obviously it is connecting to the Yahoo Finance package. So it's going to implement that package for us. And then we'll come back and show how it actually changed what it had created before, right? So this is what it had created before. I want to see what are the changes that it is able to make. So we'll give it a second, then we'll come back. Right. So it has completed building this. And if you see, this is the watch list that it was able to build very quickly, right? So now it is giving like real stock prices from these different companies. And it was able to build this as an agentic conversation, right? So that's the second piece, which is now you just watched IDE as well. Now, what I want to do here is now show you the CLI experience, right? So for CLI, what you will do is you will open up your terminal and then you will go ahead and basically use the command to install the CLI. So because I'm in Windows, I'm going to use this. So I'm just going to type that. And here, this is already being installed. So once it's, I'm just going to type AGY and then it'll bring it up, right? So that's where I'm saying that, okay, I trust this particular folder. And you can see that all these things, my agent anti-gravity CLI is installed. So what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to ask it to further make some changes in my existing application, but now we'll continue via CLI, right? So in CLI also, you can actually give a natural language prompt like this. So the stock watchlet app is here, and then it is going to look into the content and it's basically going to now update the app, right? So that's the idea here. It is going to add a lot more additional tickers. That's what I want to see. But you can see that the experience here is really in your terminal. So all of these, again, are being powered by the same agent, which is the anti-gravity agent, but the experience that you will have is going to be different. And if based on what your skills are and your interests are, if you like to do everything via the terminal, then this is the right one. If you like to only have agentic kind of conversations without looking at the file, then the 2.0 is the right one, right? So now when I go back here, it should have added a lot more additional ones. You can see that these are all the additional stock tickets that it has added. So I'm able to continuously make changes to the application that I have built. So we covered the three different versions here. So I want you to stop and notice what happened, right? I've now used the same agent three completely different ways. And you saw that I clicked through it in 2.0, I edited the code in IDE, and then I ran the job here in the terminal. Three surfaces and one agent, right? But then every single time I was the one driving. But then there's a fourth surface, which is the SDK, where you don't want a person driving it at all, right? That's where it is meant to be for software. So the mental shift here is the other three, 2.0, the ID and the CLI, are always for me as a human to sit down and use the agent, right? The SDK is how you take the same agent and put it inside your software so it runs on its own. It's just a bit of Python. You wrap the agent in your own code and give it your own tools and your own rules and run it from anywhere. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go back to Antigravity 2.0 because again, I want to use the best of both worlds. And I'm just going to ask it to write me a short Python script using the anti-gravity SDK that takes a company name, uses the agent to research what it does and its sector, and then prints the profile, right? So now what's going to happen is this is going to create this Python script. And what I'm trying to really show is this is actually using a complete agent behind the scenes and then wrapping it in a script. So what you can do now is once this happens, you can make this as part of your software. That means you can make a call within the software so that it gives you this particular output without humans doing it, right? So that's the idea. So let it build for a second and then I will explain you what I mean further. Okay, so it has completed building this. And now what I want to do is I want to actually want to show you how I can now run this directly from the terminal, right? All right, so now I'm going to run this particular command, which is python research.py Google. Basically, what I'm doing here is this will go ahead and pull the information about this particular company, but this will be leveraging the anti-gravity agent behind the scenes, right? The idea here is to showcase how you are able to now embed anti-gravity agents directly in your software because now it just became a function call, right? So you can see it, I already provided the answer, it started listing the concise summary of what this company does and all of those interesting things, right? This is the summary of the work done as well. And you can clearly see that this is an output of the agent. And that's what I wanted to share, right? So this is a bit different because we're not like having an interaction as a human, but we can actually make this embedded in a software application and then make a function call so that the agent can be called under the hood, but then it is using the anti-gravity harness. So those are the all different things I wanted to cover today. Basically, the four different products, though they are part of the same family, but the use cases and the approach of using them are a little bit different. They reside in different UIs, but then now it should be accessible to anyone based on everybody's preference. And that's the idea. So let me know if this was helpful. And if you have any questions, always happy to answer those in the comment section. And of course, if you're new here, please hit that like button and do subscribe to the channel if you're interested in watching videos like this. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.